Hello and welcome to the 20th episode of the Bookbreakrs podcast. My name is Alan, and with me as ever are the two lads, the fountains of reason, Paul and Enda. How are you lads?
Very good. Very good.
How we doing?
It was a good weekend for you, Enda.
Great weekend, lads. Best player in the world on show. What can I say? Making goals, scoring goals.
And then Leicester.
Bobby even got a few tap-ins.
Yeah.
Life is good.
And then Leicester, obviously, we'll touch on that later because we'll preview the Man United Liverpool game next weekend. But what we're going to talk about tonight is we're basically just going to preview the next 6 games in the Premier League, and the lads are going to give their thoughts on where they think different teams will be in the table after those 6 games. So without further ado, Enda, we'll go straight to yourself. So looking at the next six games for the top 5 or 6 teams, how do you see it panning out?
Yeah, that's the way I was doing it anyway. How do I see it panning out? Pretty much as is, really. Bar maybe Everton coming in for 6th and United dropping down to about 7th. The way things are going, I think Everton are sticky. They're gonna have Calvert-Lewin is broken toe, but they'll have Richarlison back, and they've been kind of managing without him. So between, like, I went 7, like we were talking top 6 there, but I went 7 and 8 because 7 and 8 are Everton and West Ham, and Everton and West Ham have a big say in how all the other teams do. So that's why I kind of went down there with my going on and wisdom, should I say. So without further ado, so Chelsea I see winning 5, drawing 1. Man United, Liverpool, I have them winning 1, 2, drawing 2, winning 4. City, drawing 3, winning 3, because they have a few sticky Champions League games. Brighton, I have them drawing 1 and winning 3. They don't have, they're tight at the back. They don't have the distraction of cups or the distraction of Europe. They'll be fresh, and like I said, they're playing very well if they can just get goals out of somewhere. But with the fixtures they do have, that have them winning Newcastle, Villa, Leeds. I see them winning that. I see them drawing with Man City, because Man City have a kind of a sticky midweek assignment, and I can see them slipping up insofar as he'll put out the second 11, and the second 11 isn't as good as it was last year or the year before, or everyone else is better, probably the latter, to be honest. Spurs, then I have 1, 2, 3, draw 3, win 2. Yeah. West Ham will stick it to them. Burnley, they'll beat Burnley, obviously. They'll take a point off United, take a point off Everton. They'll beat Leeds. They have a midweek one now. The second time they play Burnley twice, and so I've them drawn 3 and losing 1 and winning 1. Sorry, my writing is awful here.
So if we just look at them individually, and then so like Chelsea are playing Norwich, Newcastle,
Southampton,
Burnley,
Newcastle, Burnley, Leicester.
Now
Leicester comes after a tough midweek assignment, so I reckon Leicester will stick them to a draw, and then they'll win the other 5.
Yeah.
Liverpool, we have Man United, Brighton, West Ham, Arsenal. I see West Ham taking a point off us, possibly Brighton, and I see Everton taking a point off us. City, then I have them drawn 3 because they've sticky midweek assignments, and they'll beat West Ham, Palace, and West Ham again. Brighton, like I said, gone to Man United, then they're in trouble, I think. The goose is cooked there, I think, for Ole. Everyone's figured out that he doesn't have a plan. Throw enough shit at the wall up front, maybe that'll stick. That doesn't work when you're leaking goals at the back. I have them 0 points at Liverpool, 1 point Spurs, 1 point City, because they won't want to win it, won't want to lose it. They'll beat Watford. Chelsea will beat them. They'll beat Arsenal, and they'll only get a point at Palace. Palace are much improved. I did West Ham then. I'd see them getting 2 wins and a draw. Or Everton, then I see them getting 3 draws, 2 wins. So my table then after that has Chelsea after the next 6, we'll say.
Yeah.
Chelsea on 35, Liverpool on 32, possibly 30, because I'd see us getting stuck against Brighton as well. Man City 29, Brighton still there 25, Spurs 25. I've Everton either on 24 or 22, and that puts them ahead of United. And then I have West Ham on 21, United 7th, West Ham 8th. I mean, the form they're in, you can't not say that's a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely.
And also they have sticky stuff in midweek that they have to win.
Yeah, because
so,
we've started off poorly in Champions League, so you can't take your eye off that.
Yeah.
All right, interesting. So pretty much same as we are at the minute in terms of Chelsea, City,
top 4, yeah.
But Chelsea to open up a bit of a gap. Paul, what's your thoughts?
Yeah.
I'm not so sure that Chelsea will open up a bit of a gap, but I think what you're starting to see is, or certainly what you're going to see over the next few games is a 3-horse race for the title. And it is going to be very difficult to separate them, I think, come the end of the season. Chelsea are grinding out results, and that game against Brentford at the weekend, that's the sort of game that wins you Premier Leagues. It's when you really don't deserve to win, but win.
Yeah.
And
7-2 is the shot count on target for Brentford.
Really, I must say I'm very impressed with Brentford. I'm very impressed with Thomas Frank as well. But they're grinding out the results, and I was actually surprised today when I looked at the table to see that they're top. I actually thought Liverpool were top of the table, but evidently Chelsea have been.
Chelsea beat Brentford. We didn't. That's the difference at the moment.
Yeah, that probably is the difference, and that is inevitably the difference between winning titles and not winning titles. I have been very impressed with Liverpool's start of the season. I know I said it a couple of weeks ago as well. I didn't see them coming out of the blocks like they have done. It remains to be seen whether, I think they're the team that's probably most affected by the African Nations Cup I think it's in January.
Yeah.
I think if they can maintain their form, of course they haven't had injuries to key players again. That's going to be that could be deciding for them, because I don't think they have the backup for the likes of, if any of the front 3 get injured, if they lose Van Dijk again or lose Alisson for any reason, maybe you could probably put Robertson into that mix as well. I don't think they have the backup for any of those players, so it's going to take a lot of luck with injuries.
I'll just disagree with you on Robertson. Tamikis has been having, every time he comes on, he's affected everything. So now if Trent went, and give a shout out to him, because I'm always disparaging him for his lack of defensive nous. He's been better at the defensive side of things, and Liverpool have been 100 times better. Ding, 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 maybe. But no, Tamikis has been very good when he's come on for Robertson. So of the 2 there, I'd say the most you'd miss is Arnold, because you've only got a young lad to replace him.
I mean, I think like the front 3 is the key for Liverpool. They seem to have clicked again. I don't think there was any point in the last couple of seasons where Salah wasn't clicking, but the other 2, didn't have as good a season last season, and I think that's probably why Liverpool were so far off the pace. But you've got the 3 of them scoring goals now, and that really gives Liverpool a shout.
It's really frustrating because when you compare attacking talent between United and Liverpool, much of a muchness. We've probably even more strength and depth, even if our starting 3. Hold on, even if our starting 3 aren't, as good. We've no one probably as good as Salah right now, but we've so much talent there. And midfield wise, we've problems in midfield. But that Liverpool midfield it's not anything kind of. Looking at Liverpool teams down the years, there's very little creativity in it at the minute, apart from maybe Thiago. So to see the 2 teams performing at such different levels, you kind of have to put it down to the whole tactics and managerial side of things, really, don't you?
Yeah, well, you won't get any argument from me on that. It's evident really who the better manager is between those two.
But Liverpool had to start well, though, didn't they? If any team had to start well, it was them.
Well, they did really, because that African Nations Cup is going to affect their squad greatly, as would injuries to key players. Now, I know you can say that about every team, but I just think Liverpool, of the top teams, I think if they lose key players in key positions, I think it will affect them more. Whether or not that happens, whether or not it does affect them if it happens, I don't know, but that's what I think. They haven't lost. Again, I was surprised when I saw this today. They haven't lost competitive games since the Real Madrid game back in April, at the start of April. That would have kind of gone a little bit under my radar. So I can't at this stage discount them from winning the league, whereas at the start of the season I would have. But I think as much as the January period when the African Nations Cup was on is key, I think the period leading up to it is just as key, because if they can keep in touch and potentially even be leading the Premier League come January, then they have a great chance. I think City, I don't know if I would say they're going under the radar. They're not firing on all cylinders. I think it's the last 4 or 5 league games they haven't scored any more than 2 goals. I mean, they only beat Burnley 2-0 on Saturday, which is unheard of. That's 5-0 every single time. So I think they're lacking the firepower that I think we all thought they would lack when they didn't sign Harry Kane. If you're taking an Aguero out of it, although Aguero was out of that team probably for 6 months prior to him leaving, maybe even a bit longer. I don't think Grealish has the ability within him to score as many goals as is needed for a £100 million player. I think Sterling did it a couple of seasons ago under Pep's coaching. To me, Grealish isn't going to get you 20 goals any season. Probably not even 15. I just don't see him as a goal scorer.
Like, you look at Grealish, like, did they really need him with Bernardo Silva playing the way he is now?
No, absolutely not.
But would Bernardo Silva be playing the way he is now if Grealish wasn't there? Is the other thing, but that's £100 million question, really, isn't it? Yeah.
So it was a lot of money to outlay for a player that I would suggest the vast majority of Man City fans would say that they didn't need. I don't think they needed that position. Everyone knows it's a bit like United need a defensive midfielder. City need a striker. Everyone knows what their team needs, and I don't think there's many City fans that would say they needed Jack Grealish, but City are 2 points off the top, and they're winning games. So again, you can't discount them because they have the players there, and they've done it year on year. They've pushed for the title every year.
You get the vibe that Pep is maybe, slowly bringing that team to the boil,
Yeah, which is the exact opposite vibe that you get from United. Really, it feels like, the Pogba interview after the game on Saturday was very telling, I thought. Now, I suppose the irony of it is, he's as much part of the problem there as Solskjaer is. But you said, this kind of thing keeps happening. This has been coming for a long time. We don't know what the problem is. We need to find out what the problem is. For me, I mean, we've all discussed it. He's having a go. Yeah, and you can see from the early games of the season, Ronaldo doesn't seem to be on the same wavelength as Solskjaer, and Ronaldo is to a degree undermining him with some of the things he's doing. And I don't agree with that either. I think Ronaldo is a big name player, but he's a player. He's not the manager, and I'm no fan of Solskjaer. But if he isn't man enough to stand up to Ronaldo and tell Ronaldo, right, you're like Ronaldo played very poorly at the weekend, very poorly.
He shouldn't have played. He shouldn't have played. he played so many times with Portugal during the week. It should have been, Ronaldo, you're taking a rest. We'll bring you on second half if we need you.
But he doesn't have the strength of character to tell Ronaldo he's not playing. He left him on the bench in the game against was it Villa?
Villarreal.
I can't remember it. Villarreal. Was it Villarreal when he came on and scored?
I think so. He came on and scored.
He left him on the bench and then relied on him to get him out of trouble at the end of the game. So I think United are coming into a period now where I feel it by the end of it, it's going to be impossible for him to stay in that position. I really believe that.
But even the Maguire call probably showed poor judgment, because he's thrown him straight back in on the back of an injury. He's probably one that you would have liked to have rested, and I think if Varane was fit, he might have as well. But yeah, he just doesn't seem to make good calls, or his instincts don't seem to be that good.
He said in the press conference on Friday that Friday was the first day since Maguire got injured that he trained on grass. Then he puts him in a game against Leicester that we cannot afford to be losing. You don't need to say any more than that to say where he's at. He's in a position now where he's panicking. That's a panic decision. That's not based on good judgment, really, to have a player that's been out injured for a while.
No, it's like he's looking at like data rather than that having that good instincts. Because we lose fewer games when Maguire's in the team. We concede fewer goals, and he probably thought, okay, if he's fit at all, I'm putting him in. When maybe he had to look at other factors as well. Like obviously it's easy in hindsight, and as well as that, Maguire then has let him down. Like he's an international. He's just fallen asleep. Like it's.
But
lads, I think you're giving him too much what's the word I'm looking for? Credit.
Yeah. I don't think I was giving him any credit.
Yeah, I know, no, but even at that, I think you're giving him too much credit. Like, as in, he's going to look at the data, and if Maguire's this and that, no, I'd say the team kind of picks itself, throw all the big names at the wall, and hope some of it will fucking stick. That's for cursing.
And I think that's a fair point, Enda, because like some of the sides Klopp has put out this season, like he's really chopped and changed, and he's had Milner kind of right back, and things like this, and he makes it work. The guys go out, they know what they're doing, but when he's starting them, they're fit, they're ready, that they understand the tactics, and they go out and they execute the plan. You just don't get that sense with United, like
Alan, I've been very impressed with the Liverpool squad players, and I've been very disparaging of the Liverpool squad players. Even Origi's come on in affected games. So that's down to good coaching. That's down to, right, this lad's going to be playing during the week. I need him in here. He might be here. He might be here. I need him time here, time here, time here. And I just don't get the sense of any of that's going on with Solskjaer or United. Yeah. Like, we've all the forwards, we've all the backs, and we have zero midfield. You're back to your back six, lads, and you're having no midfield.
There was one of the lads sent me on a link to an interview with Brian McClare on Off the Ball there.
I saw a bit of it.
And he was talking about, McClare started off as a striker, and Ferguson ended up playing him in midfield, and they were asking him, how did you feel about that? And he was just like, well, he put me in midfield to do a job. And if you take the likes of Pogba and Bruno and all these guys going, where should you play him? Where should you play him? If you're being played on the right, then you should know what the tactics and what the plan are for me playing on the right.
Yeah.
Whereas it just doesn't seem to. It seems to be putting square pegs in round holes for United, and that again, it goes back to the manager, I'm afraid.
And Alan, if it doesn't work one day, you're going to go right out instead of let's throw in more shit at it. Yeah. I mean, what's his name? Gary Neville made a valid point. He said all the United winning teams, they had John O'Shea, they had Fletcher, they had Gary Neville, they had all these lads that worked. And there ain't one midfielder in United that works. I mean, even the two or three defensive lads all they do is sit in front of the back four. That's not working.
Yeah.
That's not working. That's just sitting in front of the back four inviting pressure on you. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you'd have to. Sorry, Paul.
No, I was just going to say, for me, and this would go probably against what 99% of United fans would think. I think the biggest problem in that midfield is Bruno Fernandes, because when he doesn't click, United don't click, and he is desperately inconsistent. He didn't show up at all on Saturday, and United didn't show up. He is influential to the point where he's not just influential with the positive, he's influential with the negative. And I do think he's overrated. I've said this before. He can't do the simple things. Everything has to be, call it the Hollywood pass. I think he should get more stick, or certainly as much as Paul Pogba gets in that midfield. In fact, I would like to see on Sunday against Liverpool, Pogba playing in his position and Fernandes left out. And that's the sort of decision that has never been made by Solskjaer. He's guaranteed his spot. Ronaldo is guaranteed his spot. Harry Maguire is guaranteed his spot. And I don't believe that any of them should be.
Here's the interesting point to back that up. On the Portuguese national team, he's
not guaranteed starter. Yeah. Exactly.
And he doesn't like us. He sits on the sideline and he sulks, but the manager makes the call.
He's like I said, he's influential in a negative way as well as a positive way, and I think he is becoming a problem for Solskjaer.
Possibly your best striker then you have on the bench. Cavani comes on every time, never lets you down.
Yeah,
I'd agree.
Ronaldo all day long. I mean, the reasons this boils back to not even Solskjaer. The guy is above Solskjaer. Yeah. United, or Ronaldo's going to sign for City. We can't let that happen. Let's look at his reasons for leaving Juventus. Oh, it's because they were now shit. And secondly, and God forbid he'd have to do a bit of work. And secondly, he wants another Ballon d'Or. That's hardly. All he wants to be is Hollywood. Like, all he wants to be is centre of attention. And the only reason, and City wouldn't pay his 500 grand a week, and United will. And it's a damn bad return for money, lads.
Yeah.
And the crime is you have Greenwood there being shoved aside. You have Cavani. Like, if you just left Cavani there and had Rashford, who has a lot to learn, as Paul knows, and Greenwood, learn off him, and then leave out Pogba and play Bruno Fernandes in midfield where he's supposed to play, not a false 9.5 or 10.5 or nothing is basically what it is. He's great on the ball. So, and the thing about the thing I hate about Pogba, Fernandes, and Ronaldo is they look around. Mason Greenwood will be in on goal, and you know, and I know that he's good at scoring goals, and they'll turn around and try and do a Hollywood pass to Fernandes or Pogba. It's like the three of them only pass to each other. And Cavani's the worst recipient of that kind of behaviour as well. He's another lad that's always making the runs, and they won't give him the ball.
Yeah.
When he's on, of course, which is hardly ever.
Yeah. Because
the tactical genius just wants to throw enough shit at the wall.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's my take on it. Paul, you were saying something, were you?
Somewhere along the line. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to harp on too much about United. I think we've harped on enough about them already. But out of the next 6 Premier League games, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest if they didn't win any of them, and that includes Watford. That includes Watford. That's how I view that team at the minute. It wouldn't surprise me if they got hammered by Liverpool on Sunday. I think you could see 4-0. Well, it also wouldn't surprise me if they sneaked a draw or a sneaky 2-1 or something.
That's what they'll be looking for. They'll be afraid to lose.
You've said, Paul, he is a lucky manager, so maybe.
But he is.
If he gets a win over Liverpool, it might buy him another.
But he does this. He does this consistently when his back's to the wall.
Yeah,
he has a good record against City as well, doesn't he?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's a torrid run coming up, Paul, isn't it? Home to Liverpool, away to Spurs, at
home to City, away to Watford, home to Watford,
and away to Chelsea.
I mean, he's lucky he's got 4 of them games are at home, you know, and he's away to probably arguably the 2 weakest out of the bunch, maybe Spurs and Arsenal. There isn't a great deal between them, but you know,
he's playing 4 of the top 6 though. So like,
yeah, it's a key period for him as a manager. I would say, not just as a United manager, as a manager, because when he is finally relieved of his duties at United, he's going back to Norway because he ain't getting a job anywhere else.
No,
as far as I can see.
You look like a real prophet, Paul, when that happens. You've been calling it for a long time.
I tell you, I have another big call that I'm going to make. Yeah, and this is probably more 3 to 4 months. I can see quite comfortably 6 Premier League managers getting the sack. Quite comfortably, based on. I mean, I think it's probably the worst start in Premier League history for teams at the bottom. I don't think so many teams have had so few points at this stage, and I think I'm hoping Solskjaer is one of those 6.
Yeah,
but I mean the rest of them are based down the bottom.
Well,
we'll come back to that.
He'll definitely be gone after these 6 games. He has to.
What so what's your top 6 then, Paul, after those? Or have you listened?
I mean, it's very difficult to separate the top 3. So I would imagine that it'll be probably as is, because I had a quick look at Chelsea's games, and as I flick through them, say, oh yeah, it'll win that one, and suddenly I think they're winning every game. I think they'll win every game, and I looked at Liverpool's. I think Liverpool will win every game.
Really?
You know, it's so hard to separate them. I think there is a gulf in class currently between the top 3 and the rest.
Yeah.
And I think it's very easily going to be a 3-horse race. I think it'll be as it is. I don't see Brighton holding on for much longer. They've only scored 8 in 8 games, but I know they've only conceded 5, and that's the rock that it's built on. But you can't get away with not scoring goals in the Premier League. You know, historically, it doesn't matter how good you are at the back.
I think they play the right way, though.
Yeah, well, they
do play the right way. I'll give him that.
And to his credit, he's doing his best with what he has. Now, you cannot say that about every manager. Yeah. Thomas Frank is another one.
The irony
doing his best with what he has.
Of West Ham beating Everton is that West Ham have the same number of points as United, and obviously United were formerly managed by Mr. David Moyes. So basically, in 3 years, we've like blown whatever 500 million, and here we are, level on points.
As good as Moyes.
With a team managed by David Moyes, you've spent probably nothing.
I think he's done a very good job there, and in hindsight, and hindsight is a wonderful thing, he may not have been given the time that he should have been given at United, but it was difficult at that time, you know, having gone from being champions to being so bad. It was an understandable decision at the time, but he's done a really good job at that West Ham side, and they're going to be hard to beat.
Very hard.
And there is a real fight for that 4th spot, and for me, I think this is a season where you could see a West Ham, or I don't know about an Everton. I think Spurs are starting to put a few results together. I think Kane and Son coming back into form after, you know, what could potentially be a busy period for them. That's very important. So I would suggest that you probably see West Ham or Spurs sneak into 4th. And I wouldn't disagree with Enda. I think United could be 7th or lower by the time all this has come to a conclusion.
Yeah,
you laughed at me when I said they were joint 5th.
Yeah, we did. You'd have to think that the search party are out there now at the minute. You'd have to think. Right, lads, we'll leave it there, and we'll quickly take a look at the competitions ongoing in the Bookbreakrs app. So if you're not aware, Bookbreakrs is a football predictions platform. We run free-to-play prediction competitions with real cash prizes. So if you want to get involved, download the app. It's on the App Store, and it's available as a direct download on Android. So the link for that is on social media. So this is the nap competition. Every week, 5 naps and 1 banker. So it's just based on 6 predictions. There's a weekly competition which rolls to monthly, and then the season-long competition, which is $3,000 in the pot. There's 2 other competitions as well. I'll quickly talk about them. So the season-long competition, that is based on all predictions, naps, bankers, and just regular predictions. And then the banker competition is just your banker. So every week, 1 pick, 500 in the pot. And you can see there's some very good performance there. You've got a 90% Antonio Salazzo there flying at the top. And if you want to follow Antonio, click follow on his profile. And when he makes his banker prediction, you'll get a notification. So I'll also just quickly, so we're going to finish here. So there's a private leagues feature in the app as well. So if you want to set up and run your own competitions with your friends, you can do that. There's an example there. But I want to quickly touch on the game on Sunday. So guys, Man United, Liverpool, how do you see it going? It's chalked up at 3.2 for United and 2.32 for Liverpool. So, you know, still a tricky game to call, even on form. You know, it's one of those where form goes out the window, isn't it?
To a degree. I think what United don't lack is match winners, players who can turn a game. I'm not saying that Liverpool lack them either, but I think that's, you know, you wouldn't put it past Bruno, you wouldn't put it past Ronaldo, you know, you wouldn't put it past a number of players in that team to do something out of the ordinary, because they are capable. They just don't do it enough.
Well, as you've said lots of times, you know, managing isn't about getting players up for these games, is it?
No, the players will automatically be up for a game against Liverpool, you know. And I mean, my head tells me this, that we're in for a bad day on Sunday.
Right.
But I think you'll absolutely 100% see a McTominay Fred partnership. That's absolutely, that's a given.
Yeah.
I think Pogba will be on the bench, but I don't think he necessarily should be. I think it should be Bruno.
He'll probably be benched because of his after-match comments rather than, you know, a footballing decision.
Yeah, it's quite possible. Yeah, but
you know, so as well, maybe.
Yeah. I think he'd be mad to back against Liverpool.
So
the draw might be. I know I have to say Liverpool. It pains me, but
scoreline.
3-1.
Okay, and how do you see the game going?
Yeah, I could see a Bruno moment or a fucking Ronaldo moment. They'll score, yay, and all this, like, but I can't see anything. Like Wan-Bissaka, he's gettable. Shaw's gone into hiding. Harry Maguire's a liability. Like Paul says, it'll be the back six, and you'll have no midfield, and you'll have two, maybe Greenwood and plus one of the other three we've mentioned up front. Like, there'll be ball, like, I don't know, it'll be about Liverpool breaking them down for me. And like, even with McTominay and Fred, like, one of them gets a booking, which is more than likely, you know. I could see possibly both of them scoring, maybe, like Paul said, 3-1. 2-1, 3-1.
Right. This never happens. We never get I was thinking 3-1 myself. I'm not sure which way, but if the fountains of reason are going 3-1, then that's good enough for me.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad day, and I tell you what, if Liverpool win, Monday is going to be a real bad day for me, because I'm actually working in Liverpool at the moment. It's terrible. It's going to be awful. I might have some solace with the Everton fans.
What was the score in the last Liverpool game, lads? Liverpool United game.
That was the one that was called off, wasn't it?
4-0 or something, was it?
Oh, I think the
boys were there. 8-0 United. 8-0 United.
I never really believed that was going to happen. Though. God, wouldn't it be great if we beat them 8-0 on Sunday?
Oh yeah.
Right, lads. We're pretty much out of time. So 3-1 you're going for next week. We'll see how that plays out. thanks again for your time, and we'll be back again next week. I think we're closing in on the Ballon d'Or, or the conversation about the best player in the world. So
that'll be a short conversation.
It'll be a short conversation. There's probably 3 in the mix, but yeah. So tune in next week, and obviously share and like and subscribe and all those other things that we
subscribe down here.
Yeah, that we like to see. Yeah, I think it's that bottom corner there. Cool. All right, guys, we'll chat to you later.
Ta-ra.
Peace.
Bye.